Definitely. Definitely. We talked to one individual who will remain nameless, but he worked at the base for several years. And his superiors have allowed him to tell us certain tidbits about his work. And one of the things that he told us was that he worked on a simulator for a flying saucer or a flying disc. Anytime that you have a simulator, it means you've probably got the hardware. You always put your guys in the simulator first before you send them up in the hardware, because you don't want to kill all your test pilots. So obviously, if you're going to be flying discs, you have to learn how to fly them in the safety of a simulator. And he worked on a simulator, and we find his story to be very compelling. But you know, everybody wants proof. We don't have any proof.
Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio was the original center for all of this material to be brought together. It was the headquarters for the Foreign Technology Division of the United States Air Force. It later became the headquarters for the Alien Technology Division of the United States headquarters. Wright-Patterson, for many, many years, was the central repository of not only the hardware, but some of the little bodies and even some of the living crew members who had been retrieved. But it became very clear after a time that there wasn't enough room at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. We literally filled up hangar after hangar with hardware. We're storing it now at least 3 different Air Force bases, and much of it is being kept underground at a place in Nevada, not too far from Las Vegas, just beyond Nellis Air Force Base, which is repeatedly referred to as Dreamland, Groom Lake, or Site 51. That today is one of the largest repositories of hardware.
Area 51 is 85 miles northwest of Las Vegas. There have been so many UFO sightings in this region that the government of Nevada recently named the stretch of road the Extraterrestrial Highway. The base is in remote desert, home to rattlesnakes, cows, and a few jackrabbits. Here, a handful of bureaucrats operate an unknown agency. Its existence was denied for almost 50 years, though the base was visible from Freedom Ridge and Whiteside's mountain range. These sites were on Bureau of Land Management land. On April 10, 1995, the government incorporated this land into the base, putting it off limits to civilians. The use of deadly force is authorized. Anyone caught trespassing could be shot. On the 28th of January, 1996, former Secretary of Defense William Perry finally admitted the existence of the base. This was televised by Channel 13 in Las Vegas.
We do have a military operation going on at Groom Lake, highly classified and highly important to U.S. security.
Satellite photos of the base show the world's longest runway. The length is about 30,000 feet, almost 6 miles. Space shuttles could be landed at either end simultaneously, roll to a halt without brakes or parachutes, and still be separated by a mile. It is generally known that in the past, the base played an integral role in the development of several generations of U.S. spy planes. The U-2, the most sensational Cold War weapon. The SR-71, otherwise known as the Blackbird. The B-2 Spirit, the controversial invisible stealth bomber. And the currently rumored Aurora, a self-propelled aircraft said to have the abilities to penetrate the atmospheric envelope and return to Earth unaided. Nine miles south of the control tower of Area 51 lies Papoose Lake. Its dry lake bed can only be reached by dirt road. This is reportedly the site of 9 heavily camouflaged hangars, alleged to contain several highly unconventional aircraft, described by those who claim to have seen them as flying saucer-like. According to several informed individuals, military and civilian, these aircraft were recovered UFOs. Reverse engineering, the process by which an advanced system may be used as a learning model for another, has given rise to these state-of-the-art aircraft. A great number and variety of people have come forward bearing witness to having seen them in flight over and around the base. Author and astronomer Chuck Clark has lived near the secret facility for the past 4 years, researching activity at the base for his remarkable Area 51 and S4 handbook. He watched the base from White Sides and Freedom Ridge with a high-powered telescope until it was closed to the public.
I saw at first what I thought was an aerial illumination flare that was shot up from the area just south of the base at Area 51. It rose upwards from the hills and ascended to about 2,000-foot elevation and then hung motionless for several minutes. As it started slowly descending, it got down about 30 or 40 feet above the ground and hovered motionless for a couple of minutes, or well, not a couple of minutes, maybe about a minute. And then suddenly it shot without warning all along the base of the hills over here to a point in front of the higher hills. It did that movement in about 1 to 1.5 seconds. That is just under 5 miles measured distance, and that makes the speed something between 9 and 14,000 miles an hour based on those times. After it hovered for maybe 4 or 5 more seconds, it just vanished in place. But it did cast a glow on the ground, which means it wasn't a holographic projection. It wasn't a trick of some sort. It's unusual that you get something where, you know, I had range. I was able to figure the speed. The speed calculated out to somewhere between 9 and a little over 14,000 miles an hour, depending on whether it was a second or a second and a half. That's the only estimate in the equation.